Hello everybody, my name is Dion Borg, and today I'm going to be presenting the Consumables module improvements in the CCLAS Velox model. So Velox stands for rapid in Latin, and it's a low-cost rapid deployment module. So a little bit about myself before beginning the webinar. I am the General Manager for CCLAS based here in the Data Mine office in Brisbane. My background is I was a chemist, so I studied chemistry at university, and I actually worked in an analytical laboratory in a nickel refinery for approximately 10 years, and about 6 years of that time I used the CCLAS product, so I actually was a user. Then I became a consultant, and I have been a consultant for about 10 years. And at the start of this year, I began managing the CCLAS team. Data Mine as a company, we've got 26 offices around the world, as you can see here on our map. We've got 100 plus technical professionals from the mining engineers, geologists, and business consultants, as well as 100 developers, and they're all sort of located in our main hubs in Australia, the UK, and Canada. So you can see from 2015 to 2020, we've increased our staff, and we'll continue to build as time moves on. And obviously, Data Mine is part of the Constellation Software Group based in Canada. So they're a publicly listed company, 16,000 employees worldwide, and a very large range of software portfolio companies. So just before we start the webinar today, by default, all attendees are actually muted, and I've planned to use about 25 minutes to show you the various aspects of the consumable module. And I'll leave about 5 minutes at the end for questions. So if you have any questions, please leave it till the end and just raise your hand using the raise hand symbol you can see on the screen. And then if you've got a question, you can click on the chat window and put in your question. And if that symbol flashes, you can also have a look at the question online yourself. Okay, so moving on to the agenda. So what I'm going to cover off today, and 4 key items. The first one was going to learn how to configure the consumables module, so consumable types, consumable usage per scheme, and the supplier of the consumable. And on the second piece, we're going to look at the operation of the automatic consumable decrement script and the report script that runs on Taskman. Thirdly, we'll look at showing you how to manually update your stock levels of your consumables. And fourthly, we're going to show you how to manually print the consumable report. So CCLAS is part of Data Mine's intelligent mining solution suite. So obviously it is Data Mine's laboratory information management system specifically designed for mining and the metals industry. Mindscape is our geological modeling software for coal and metal ferrous deposits. MineMarket is our enterprise solution for inventory, logistics, and marketing. And production accounting is our metal accounting system for mining and minerals industry. So this slide gives you an idea of the size of our footprint and the reach of CCLAS in the LIM space. So we've been around for a very long time, 30 plus years across 350 sites around the world, 75 countries around the world, and approximately 6,000 users. So I don't show you these figures or statistics to impress you, but it's really to just impress upon you the importance it is to selecting a LIMS provider you can trust and that's been around the industry for the long term. So here's a selection of some of our customers who have been with us for quite some time, and I'm sure many of you will recognize some of those brands. So the whole idea of a LIMS system is really to save time on common activities inside your laboratory, okay? So this graph represents the time saving. So if you were not using CCLAS to the change when you are using CCLAS with the blue bars. So common activities like job registration, we've got a 25% saving time using CCLAS. Data entry is 40%, where we do a lot of our calculations. And validation is 43% less time, reporting 48% less time, and invoicing probably 55% less time. So the more time you save, or the faster you process your samples correctly, so it's important to look at how you process your samples. And the higher your productivity will be, so the more revenue and the lower the costs. So now I'm going to move on to the actual demo. So just bear with me while I change over to that. So here is the Consumables module. So what we're going to first work on is I'm going to create a new consumable type. And for this example, we're going to use filter papers, a common laboratory consumable. Okay, so I type in filter papers as the description. And then here you can actually enter in your suppliers. So I've entered in a couple of suppliers here. So you can put in the supplier's name, the address, their phone number, any contact details that you have email-wise. You can also attach files or pictures or contracts to this list. And then if you have any particular contacts, you can also store them inside CCLAS as well. So after you've set up the supplier, then we go ahead and we want to start setting up the consumable itself. So as an example, we're going to select filter papers. And for this example, we're going to say 90 ml filter papers. Okay, click OK. And I can put the description in again, 90 ml filter paper. There's some space here if you have a chemical that you want to put the MSDS code in. We can have your current quantity. So as an example, we might say 1,000 individual pieces of filter paper, and say each pack comes in 100. We want to say we want to order when we've got one pack left. And you might have a reorder delay of 7 days, so you can put that in your in CCLAS, and then you can add the price. And then for this example, it's a unit, so it's 1 unit of filter paper. So in the user fields tab, you can put in the stock code. I'll speak about this user field screen in more detail later, but for this, we can select the location. Now, when we move on to the usage and supplier, so we add the supplier. So I'm going to use Chem Supply as an example, and I say this is my preferred supplier. You can also put multiple suppliers in there if you wish. And now we're going to add a scheme. So essentially what we're doing is we're going to look at, say for example, for this AAS scheme, we know that we use 1 filter paper per sample. So when you do set up the consumables for your laboratory, you have to assess all your methods, all your consumables, and record how much of each item or each consumable that you consume per sample, okay? because that's how CCLAS will then work out what to take out of your stock levels. Okay. So now the consumable has been configured. Before I go on and show you the next step, I will show you the other consumables I have configured. So here is, hydrochloric acid, a very common acid used in the laboratory. And you can see here we've recorded a volume in millimeters for this one. We've recorded a stock code and a location. And we can also record a hazard here as well, that it's a corrosive substance. And then you can see here I've got multiple schemes here where I'm using essentially 5 mils of this hydrochloric acid for each of those schemes. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of acids here. You can store CRM samples if you want to record how much CRM sample you are using per scheme. Flux for fire assay, or flux for your XRF beads. You can also store instrument parts. So here's a gold cathode lamp, and we've stored that. And you obviously notice that you can't, for this particular consumable, you don't want to record a usage per scheme. It's only essentially when that lamp breaks that you'll have to replace it. And then you can record, here we've got acetone as well, and it's probably, again, it's one of those substances that laboratories typically use for cleaning. So while you don't consume it per scheme, you can work out how much you consume per day, and then CCLAS can automatically decrement this from your stock level. Okay, so just briefly switching back to the second item on the list now. So now we're going to look at the Taskman scripts for automatically decrementing our consumables and creating our report. Okay, so if we go to Taskman, I've actually created a test job in here for this particular scheme, AAS2, and I've just created 10 samples in here. So essentially for our filter paper, so we should essentially see 990 as the current quantity when we go back and review that. Okay, so we'll come in here, click on our consumable decrement. Now, automatically or normally Taskman runs this once a day. So we click on test to run it. And so now if I go back into the filter paper, you can see now it has been reduced by 10, okay? So that automatically happens as the sample is analysed. It will, CCLAS will automatically decrement though anything assigned for each of the consumables against these usage fields. Then I'm going to show you now the consumable report. So the consumable report again runs every day, and basically will automatically print out a list of your consumables and flag those items that are below the minimum stock levels. So if I click on test here, that's going to automatically print. And I'm going to now go to the Col folder and open up that spreadsheet. So you can see here now, because I've been running this a few times, we do have a negative value, but obviously you wouldn't normally do that. But you can see here for your the litharge, it's actually flagged it red. It tells you what the supplier is, what the stock code is, and shows you what the minimum quantity is, and essentially how much you've used in the last 7 days. Okay. Then back to our agenda. So the next item we're going to look at is how you manually update your stock levels. Okay, now, so if we go back to the consumables, and I just wanted to use our acetone as an example. So I spoke about this previously. So obviously a lot of consumables will already have a barcode. So you can directly scan the barcode into this field. So that enables you to do stock taking a lot easier. And if you have a consumable that doesn't have a barcode, like a CRM sample, you can actually create a barcode, right? So you click on this list, it will generate a barcode. And then if you click on this print, it will also generate a file to be able for you to create that as a label, and you can stick that in the storeroom or actually on the bottle or the packet. Okay, so we have extended that capability. So now, if I go to our consumable decrement model, so you can see here, this gives us an overall view of all of the consumables currently configured for CCLAS. Okay, so as an example, as I mentioned before, I might have taken a AAS gold lamp or cathode lamp out of the storeroom. So to update the consumable list, I double click on there. I say I've used one. I click on update. You can see it's updated this list here. And then once I click on update, it will then remove that from the stock level. Alternatively, like I mentioned, we can use the barcode. So you can actually go and do a stock take. Obviously, I don't have a barcode hooked up to my machine at the moment, but if you would imagine, you would scan in a barcode, and as soon as you scan in the barcode, it automatically pulls up this update list. So obviously what tends to happen in laboratories sometimes, you might not always 100% cover all of the consumable usage in your laboratories. People might forget to take it out or to mark it out of the system. So what we recommend is obviously you do regular stock takes. And so you could essentially use something like a Microsoft Surface tablet that's portable. Go around your storeroom, and if it's got a barcode scanner on it, you can scan each barcode, look at how much stock you have, and update this as you go. Okay, so this is a way for you to update your stock levels a lot quickly with barcode scanners. But like I said, you can actually also update them manually by double clicking on the items. Okay, and moving back to the final step. So I'm just going to show you now how to manually print out a consumable report. So inside this module, we do have the capability to also print out a report of the consumables currently used here. Okay, so we can quickly see a list of all our consumables and our current stock levels. Okay, so from here you can actually print that out as well. Okay, and if there was any samples used when you do run this, you'll actually see any samples analysed and any amount used between that time. You'll actually see that there as well. Okay. All right, so we've now come to the end of the demonstration. So I'd like to thank everyone for your attendance. So if you're a current customer and you have questions about the consumable model, please send an email to support.cclas@dataminesoftware.com. Or if you're interested in implementing a LIMS system for your laboratory and you would like to see a demo of our total Velox model, please send an email to sales@dataminesoftware.com. But please keep an eye out on the Datamine LinkedIn page over the next few weeks. We'll be running some more webinars on other C-class models. So again, thanks everyone for your time and attention, and we will finish the webinar now. Thanks for your time.